the orders will be hitting the order book in a sequence, and the ones getting the orders first will make more money for that trade. So that's one of the use cases for the token, the ordering of the distribution of the signals. So if you believe as an investor that people will buy the token so that they can get the signal before the people that don't have any tokens, then you believe that there will be a demand for the token, and as an investor you may want to decide to invest. So that's one of the use cases of the token. Please remind me the second one. Do you remember?
Other use cases are depending on what people want to build and use the token for. If people want to build a marketplace or get paid for those subscriptions, they will do it with the token.
Yeah, how it works is during each voting in the government system, you can assign an amount of token that gets, the percentage of the distribution gets assigned to a specific area. So if you're an investor that wants Superalgos to proceed more on the machine learning part, that then that investor will assign a token value towards the machine learning area. So the people that works with machine learning earns more token.
You can influence the areas of development by holding more tokens.
Basically, the token is required to access community or premium community services, basically. So the infrastructure is open source and free for everyone, but the intelligence that the community produces in terms of strategies or signals, for instance, broadcasted across the network, will require having tokens for accessing those. So for instance, when this machine learning crowdsourcing stuff matures and there is a model that can actually predict something, then if you want to access the predictions, you will need to have some tokens in your balance.
Just a question. I don't think if I missed it or didn't understand, but I do apologize in behalf. How are the tokens generated? How do we gain tokens? I didn't get that part.
Okay, there is a capped economy for the token. The project has decided early on that there will only be 1.5 billion tokens, right? So there is a schedule for distributing those tokens along 30 years, and there is a monthly budget for those tokens. So that's the way the economy will work in general. And the way the token is distributed is using what I just explained about the governance system.
Oh, okay.
So you have to see it this way. We are a community of people collaborating to build something, right? So we want that everyone that contributes to the community has access to everything that we do. So if you're contributing to the system, to the community, you're earning tokens, right? So when we build premium products and services like this, for instance, the results of these models or the signals or whatever, then we want people that have contributed to the project to be the first to benefit from that value that we're creating. So the people that are already in the community contributing will already have tokens because they have been contributing and earning the rewards. So they will automatically have access to everything that the community builds. But for people that come from outside and benefit from using the system because it's open source, but they haven't contributed anything, then we want them to support the project by buying the token to access the premium services that the community produces. That's one way of seeing it.
So, if I understand correctly, you create 50 million tokens per year, is that right?
Not exactly, because
1.5 billion in 30 years, is that right?
Yes, but it's not distributed linearly.
No?
We created, we designed basically a distribution schedule that is similar to Bitcoin. There is a halving of the distribution of the token every 6 years instead of 4 like Bitcoin. So we started with an annual budget of 128 million tokens, I think. Yes, 128 million tokens per year. So during the first 6 years, we're going to be distributing 128 million tokens per year. At the 6th year, that will be halved. So we're going to distribute only 64 million tokens per year during the next 6 years, and so on until year 30, where tokens run out.
And how much of this 128 million you keep for yourself? And how much you give to community?
Everyone in the project is a contributor. So the founders don't keep anything in particular for themselves. The founders are contributors just like the rest of the community. So basically, yes, the founders were the first working in the project. In fact, for a couple of years before there were any real contributions from the community. So the tokens that were distributed in the first few years went to the people that were working early on, which was a larger group than us actually, because there were like 4 more people involved in the beginning. So it's basically the same process happened in the beginning, basically distributing the token among a smaller community. Now that the community is bigger, it's simply the token is distributed wider or widely. Yeah. So that's the whole objective of the system, is to have a lot of incentivization power in the beginning, because it's very hard to bootstrap a collaboration like this. So if you can distribute more tokens in the beginning, it makes sense because it's easier to attract the first few contributors. You know, there is more risk in contributing early on in a project than when the project is already successful. So that's the way Bitcoin design of incentives work. Also, big rewards in the beginning, and then diminish the rewards as the network becomes successful and useful and dominant. So in a way, what we're trying to do with this design of incentives is to become the dominant network in our field of expertise. So Bitcoin became the dominant network as a payment system, right? With Lightning also as a layer 2, and also as a store of value, right? In our case, we know that, understanding crypto the way we see it, we think that crypto will keep going, and the use cases for tokenizing assets will keep growing too. I mean, at some point everything will be tokenized, and what will happen when everything is tokenized? Then you will be able to trade all sorts of assets and value.
Also gamification. Also tokenizing is gamification of the projects.
Yes, also. But imagine when the real estate market gets tokenized, for instance, and you no longer need to buy one house as an investment, but you can buy a fraction of the house just buying a fraction of the tokens that represent that house in the market. That will come. Sooner or later it will come.
It's already
It's already working like that, and even the stock market will get tokenized, and tokens will have a lot more functionality than just being a stock or representation of the governance of the company and the distribution of dividends. So imagine that economy in the next 5, 10, 15 years, whatever, where everything is tokenized. How will people deal with the complexity of managing not 20 asset classes like we have in the financial market now, but maybe 500 or thousands of asset classes? You will need projects like this that offer everyone the right set of tools to get into the trading of all those asset classes. So we see ourselves as a very, very long-term vision project that will grow as the industry grows, and will become necessary. At this point, Superalgos is probably not necessary. It's necessary for a few guys like you that are trying to automate some trading, but at some point everything will be tradable in the markets. And you will need these sorts of infrastructure.
So maybe just summarizing then, I kind of see the Superalgo project as two different things. The one thing is the tooling, the infrastructure, where you kind of build the tool and everybody can use it, and then it seems like there's entire, even bigger project, meaning where you build the community and trying to tokenize it in some or other way with all the governance involved. And so what, obviously the more the community grows, the more bandwidth you have, but what will you guys focus on in the future? Will you improve the tools, or will you work on the community first? Or, because both things at the same time seem hard. See, there are a lot of questions and probably hundreds of loopholes that you still need to fix and reiterate on, which is just normal. It's just the nature of such a beast, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but what is your interest in the developers? What do you kind of focus on?
Well, it doesn't really matter what my interest is or his interest is. It's basically everyone will have different interests, right? And because it's a decentralized project and a permissionless project, then people will simply start exploring avenues of development. I myself, for instance, I'm focused mostly on the business development side of things, marketing side of things, community building side of things. So basically trying to advance the crypto project aspect of this collaboration. The technical guys are doing the stuff. They are not networkers, they are not marketers, so they will be handling the technical stuff. And things just keep advancing on multiple directions.
Okay,
And,
so it's fully decentralized, everybody's autonomous and can do
yeah,
it.
exactly. And you're free to partner with other people and create working groups and stuff like that. And for instance, what we're doing here in this meetup is we are trying to develop a community here in Turkey, right? That's why we're here. And that's just the effort of a small group of people within the community. These 5 or 6 Turkish guys that are pushing things forward in Turkish, they translated the system so that Turkish people can use it, and we're here to support that.
Okay.
So that's the way it works. People will be working on many different directions, and what we're trying to create with the design of incentives is basically to come up with a system or an organism that improves itself, right? So you have this community building stuff and getting rewards for those stuff, and the more the community is rewarded, the more the product improves, right? And the more the product improves, the more people it attracts, because the more useful it becomes. And the more people it attracts as users of the infrastructure, then there will always be a percentage of the user base that will convert into contributors, right? And the more the system improves and the more the user base improves, then the market will eventually price in those improvements and the token will rise in price. And the more the token rises in price, and then you have the feedback loop. The more the token rises in price, the more incentivization power the project has. So because the more money it can distribute in rewards, so the more people you attract to contribute, and it goes on and on. So the incentives model is designed as a positive feedback loop that creates an organism that improves itself.
So it is a bit weird because first of all, thank you for the super tool, it's awesome. And that's what I mean. I'm super thankful that you built the tool and the whole thing, but then when it comes to the business aspect of the tokenization, it's first I am the user and the customer from you guys and then working, and then it suddenly flips because then it's a community where you should invest and then you're trying to sell it in. It would be good to kind of slightly separate those two from each other, that you have the tooling where everybody can appreciate it and really love it, and then the community where the whole thing kind of bubbles up. And then, yeah, they belong together, but they are a little bit more separated.
But the separation comes organically, because we have thousands of users that we don't even know exist. They are just using the platform and never show up in the community, they don't contribute, they just use the platform. That's the separation, it's organic. You don't need to dictate where the line lies. And the good thing with that is that at any point in time, the people that are using the platform can decide to activate themselves and start contributing. So there is no need to set
Yeah,
the line.
sure.
There is basically people that are getting involved with the technical infrastructure, like using it, and there are people that are getting involved with the crypto project. So it all exists as a whole because of this feedback loop that I just explained. Everything is connected, so it's impossible to separate, or it's probably not desirable to separate.
Alright.
It's a different model than how crypto projects usually work. You know, the way crypto projects work, the 16,000 crypto projects you can find in CoinMarketCap, how do they work? Basically, those that have the ability to sell an idea early on, and those that are probably have connections in the venture capital world, and they are probably located in specific areas of the world that are more active in terms of venture capital, then they raise some capital from VCs. And they sell the tokens or the equity in the company at a very premium price for these early investors. And then they basically take half of the money they get from the VCs and put it in marketing to promote an ICO, right? So they promote an ICO and they sell the token to the public at twice or three times the price that they sold to the VC. So basically, you have the populace financing the earnings of the venture capitalist. That's the way it works. Every single project that didn't have a fair launch, and probably the only fair launch that I know of is Bitcoin. Maybe there are a few more that I'm not aware of. And I'm proud to say that Superalgos is a fair launch, too. And that it's creating this collective business model in which anyone can participate. And if you don't want to participate, then just use the platform. It's open.
It's just weird because you get two hats, and the one hat is the engineer. Wow, the tool is awesome, and I'm so thankful that you build it. And then put on the investor hat, and I say, okay, you want buying from me? Then I'm starting to look at it critically and start to criticizing the tool, which I'm getting for free, which I shouldn't criticize because I like it. And you know, it's just this weird schizophrenic thing where you switch between hats.
It's probably. It probably is a lot to digest. Yeah. It took us a while to find this model. I mean, we didn't come up with this day